it's, sometimes though, rigid boundaries can actually be helpful. In the early days of recovery, at least for myself, I needed rules and regulations and structure to keep me on track. I needed that kind of, uh, like, okay, I needed to be able to check in with a sponsor or a accountability person, and I literally had different routines. And my daughter can kind of tell you that because she kind of lived through it, where I had to have a lot of structure. And those were very important to my recovery. But the thing about that is, it really did keep me from forming really meaningful relationships with people because I really just was focused on the structure. And that's kind of, it reminds me in some degree of God's dealing with the Israelites, because in the Mosaic law, there were 613 rules and laws that the Israelites had to follow. And those were really kind of, in a way, essential for their survival, their health. They really needed that structure. But but it also prevented them, they did not have a direct connection to God. And they really didn't know what would happen if they didn't have that structure. And so, recovery, like I said, requires those rules. But what happens when we really begin to try to come out of that structure, it's really difficult because we don't know if we can survive without the structure, because we don't know who we are without the structure. We don't know. We just really don't know. And so it's very frightening as well. And so we keep the rigid boundaries out of fear. Okay. And in my journey, what that looked like, as I said, I needed those rules and I needed that structure. And once I really got into recovery and really healing, I went from that porous boundaries where I was telling everybody everything to the rigid. It was like, I'm not telling anybody anything. I'm not going to let anybody get close to me. I need these rules. And that's all there is to it. And I kept people away. And a lot of times I would sabotage relationships when they got close because I didn't trust it. Okay. And that's a whole nother story. But it really is what happens when you have the rigid boundaries. And for a season, that can be okay because you need it to get you on track, to get you focused. But there comes a point in time where you have to begin to look outside of that rigidity and begin to heal from the inside. Okay.